Warning, the following audio transmission is based on theory and is intended for entertainment purposes only. It's Doomsday and its affiliates will not be held liable for anything your dumbass does. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everybody, to the It's Doomsday podcast. Today, I'm your host, the local prepper. Email is itsdoomsdaypodcast@gmail.com. Today is Monday, January 5th. Jester's currently tied up in my basement, so I'll be running the show today. But seriously, Jester and I have teamed up this year to make the show even better than it was before. It was pretty damn good. I listen to it all the time. I've been asked to talk about my background and where I came from, and why I got into prepping, and maybe even a few things like where I'm going with my preparedness. So let's go ahead and get into it. Get into it. I am a former Marine, 20 years, active duty, lots of time throughout the world doing bad things to bad people in bad places. After I did that, I don't really talk about it a lot, but after I did that, I went into the contracting world with the Department of Defense. Now, I guess it's the Department of War, but I did a lot of those same things. But I also went into the tech side of it as well, because as you get older, things start to slow down a little bit, and when you slow down, you dodge bullets a lot less effectively. So I figured I would kind of extend my life by going into the tech side. But anyway, we did a lot of that stuff. And then one day I woke up and said, you know what? I don't need 3 bosses, and I have a pension that I can fall back on, and I'm going to get out. But, and then shortly after that, I got into being like online, having a YouTube channel, all that stuff. I currently am running a YouTube channel called the Local Prepper Project. If you're interested, go find that on YouTube. You can also find me over pretty much on all the platforms. If you just Google Local Prepper, all one word, you'll find me, no problem. But that's not what this is about. This is about preparedness. So in 2008, I was still a government contractor, and old B-Rock, Mr. Barry, decided he wanted to shut down all government contracting for the United States government. If you look it up, that he actually did it. In one day, he flicked a switch, and every government contract, every pending government contract was turned off. And it kind of like sent shivers through the industry, and or tremors through the industry. And I was in the middle of that. So I was like, well, what happens? How long can I last without a job? Because we don't know when this is going to turn on, get turned back on. And this is my chosen profession. I could go work I could go like work at a Walmart greeter, but I don't think I'd really be good at it. I don't think Wendy's would take me because, well, I like their food, but I don't want to sell it for them. Anywho, so I had money in the bank. I was making very good money at the time. And I realized that, what happens if things really go bad? When, even though I have 3 months worth of salary saved up, which is the standard, you guys should be doing that, 3 months worth of salary. Think of it the same way. Think of money, survival or economic survival the same way you would think of in getting married. The ring represents the person marrying the person, and that's the dowry, and 3 months. So that's how big the ring should be, 3 months of your current salary. But saving 3 months worth of your current salary is the smarter thing to do, because now you can provide, you can survive for those 3 months, because you know that the money that you have is the money that you'll need. But what happens when things go really bad and the Wally Worlds of the world don't open anymore and the Targets aren't so targety? And the food line doesn't exist anymore because somebody's hunted him into extinction. And it really got me thinking about, like, how am I going to survive? How am I going to keep my family alive? So, I started looking at all of the places where people find all this information that's normally on the old YouTubes and the internet in general. And then I started to notice that it's really, everybody kind of mix matches words, but it's all kind of the same thing. You've got the survivalists, you've got the bushcrafters, you've got the homesteaders, you've got the preppers, and then it's like, is it a doomsday prepper, or then you got the hybrids. It's like the prep steader, so all of that was very confusing for a long period of time. But I knew that I had to, like, make an initial impact on this plan. I couldn't just hodgepodge it together with, the Il Presidente just shutting off my means of providing for my family. So I went to the largest gun show in North Carolina. It's the Raleigh Gun Show. They do it twice a year. It used to be huge, but thanks to COVID and all of those shenanigans, it shrank down to about half its size. It used to be ginormous. You could walk in there for half a day and not see everything. But anyway, so I sought out the freeze dried company. It was a company called Thrive that may or may not even exist anymore. But and bought like $2,000. Just dropped the credit card. Screw this. I got to make a huge dent in this so that we don't starve if something goes wrong. And yeah, that's what I did. And so the running joke now is that I have a year's worth of freeze dried food under my bed. Which I do. And it's that was in 2008, guys. So do the math on that one. But I'm and I think we need to talk about rotation just a little bit, but we'll get to that. So that got me started down the path. Obviously being a Marine and being basically an infantry Marine. You already have lots of tactical skills, all sorts of skills that most civilians don't have, firearms, discipline and use, and safety and tactical employment, once again, doing bad things to bad people in bad places. But so I wasn't really concerned with that, but excuse me, but the food and all of the other things that I would need to know and understand on the civilian side became like who I am, who I needed to be at the time. So I kind of came up with this little thing that I call my 3 pillars of preparedness. And in order, it's water, food, and security. Water is the thing, because if you're starting down your preparedness journey, they always talk about the rule of threes. You can't survive without 3 minutes worth of air. You can't survive without 3 days worth of water. You can't survive for 3 weeks without food. Which is ironic, because I personally know somebody right now who hasn't eaten properly in over a month and they're still alive. That's another story. And no one's going to steal 3 minutes of our air. So there's not like a way to really prepare for that. But you could prepare for the water thing. So I've got these large tanks of water. They're in my basement. And every 6 months, they get rotated out with fresh water. I drain them out and fill them right back up with that city tap water that's already pre-treated. Now, that water can probably last about a year, but I like to rotate it every 6 months because it just tastes better. That's it. It tastes better. Water can last for a long time. You can actually put chemicals in your water to make it last up to 5 years of storage. But I just don't know, although it would be safe to drink, I don't just don't think that it would taste very good, and that's not really cool. So that's how I do my water. And then the next pillar would be food. We talked about the freeze dried stuff, but I consider myself what I would call a Western prepper. When I say Western, I don't mean I'm wearing a cowboy hat, riding a steed. I mean that I live in Western society. I grew up in Western society. And in Western society, when you want some vegetables, you either pick them, get them from the local grocer. They're either fresh, they're frozen, or they are canned. Because some years ago, humans discovered how to can goods that come in cans and that will actually last longer than goods that are traditionally canned inside of a jar. Because when we started doing what they call canning, it was because we had to preserve our food for the winter that we grew during the spring and summer. And it was this constant rotation of foods. So we had to do that all ourselves. We don't have to do that anymore. Now, for longevity, you probably need to learn how to do it. You need to have those supplies. That way, if we do go full up SHTF apocalyptic times, you'll have the ability to can your own food. But I have tons of food that is all canned, that is from the local Wally World or from the local Food Lion. And it's just fine. It's just fine. There are people that speak against it, and there's people that speak for it. I'm one of those people that speaks for all of the foods, because I recommend that you have dehydrated food, that you have freeze-dried food, that you have canned food, that you have, dried perishables that are vacuum sealed food. I recommend you have all of those things, and then I recommend that you actually eat your preps, because that will keep your food source fresh. Going back to my freeze-dried food from 2008, we're in that time period where I have to start eating it. And I'm not super looking forward to it, because it was always that crutch that I had if my other food sources went bad. I have been rotating that food. When I say rotating, I just mean buy more that particular food, because you don't often spend money on freeze-dried food and then constantly eat it. But I've got to that point in 2026 where it's I need to start eat it on the regular, because it's just going to go bad. So that's what I'm going to be doing here in 2026 when we talk about where I'm going. I'll be starting to eat my freeze-dried food and kind of mix it in with other foods. But yeah, it's going to start that freeze-dried chicken that's in those number 10 cans is gonna start getting used a lot. But that's what I think about the food. You got to have that food, water, food, and then I use the term security. Security basically means the ability to protect your family, yourself, your property, your life, maybe the lives of others. Because back there in 2019, when they unleashed the unholy virus that was going to kill everybody, that basically gave everybody the flu, and most healthy people survived. You couldn't. I was a YouTuber back then, and you could not use the word firearm, gun, AR. There were so many words you couldn't use. Everything was a code word. Basically, you'd go on there and do a video, and half the words you said were code words. But I do have and do recommend that you get yourself, some pew-pews. I'm not saying buy an arsenal. I'm just saying get the firearms that you would need to protect yourself, your family, your property. And then learn what the law says you can do, because the general idea is that we live in a civil society where we act civilly, where there are laws, there are regulations, and every municipality and county and state has their own, So where you live and what you do, you should understand and abide by those laws. But you should also be training as much as you possibly can with your firearm because, it's like I tell people you get better at driving your car every day because every day you gain experience. Every day you have muscle memory. Every day you are practicing like a doctor is practicing by doing their trade. And every day that your rifle sits on its rack or in its safe is a day that you did not exercise those muscles, that muscle memory that you're going to need if you ever have to use that firearm for other than a hat rack. So you should be knowing and understanding how our firearms work, how the safety is, teaching your kids that they're tools and not toys, and you should be you should be using that firearm as much as possible. Now, I'm not saying go fire 50 rounds a day. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it should be something that you should like work into your lifestyle because preparedness is a lifestyle. You can't just buy fancy things, put them on the shelves and say, I'm a prepper because you're not. You're a collector. Let that one sink in. So water, food, security in that order. That's my mantra. Those are my pillars of preparedness. TM, but take it as you will. Take it as you will. Okay, so I guess the last thing is where am I going in my preparedness? Well, I after I got all the stuffs that you need to be like a healthy, successful prepper and started doing everything to get into the lifestyle, the thoughts, the processes, interacting with other people, because I'm huge on community. If you think that you're going to buy all these things and that you're going to lone wolf it, you're not. You're not, because sometimes you have to sleep, and when you do, that's when the boogeyman will get you. So you can't go at this alone, guys. There's got to be some form of community, even if it's only form a 4-person team. There's got to be some form of community to survive properly. So in 2019, I started the YouTube channel Local Prepper, and I did that because I wanted people to understand. I wanted to point out that there are preppers everywhere. They're everywhere, right? I think right now the survey they did in they actually did a survey in 2019 that talks about how many people are in mainstream prepping, and they were saying that it was 7%, I think, of the nation was in adults anyway that were in mainstream preppers. Well, they did another study in 2023, and they found out that right now we're at 23% of Americans are moving into mainstream prepping, and they're saying it's going to go even higher based off of world events, things that are constantly changing, the push for more individual. The left doesn't want you, and this is not about politics, but the left doesn't want you to be a rugged individualist, because then they can't control you, and you are more difficult to assimilate into the hive mind. But being a prepper is all about being a rugged individualist. And if there's a group of you, then you're a team. And then it's bigger than that, you're a community. And then if you're a community, you can withstand the ridiculousness of the world. So what I'm doing these days is, like I was telling you earlier, I just rebranded my channel. Like I said, I've been on YouTube and all the other platforms since 2019 talking about preparedness. And I've kind of evolved. So I rebranded the channel to the Local Prepper Project. New logos, new backgrounds, new all sorts of stuff. Just make it a little prettier, because it was kind of clunky. But anyway, my focus is just real life preparedness. I do gear reviews that are like, if it's crap, it's crap, it's gone. If it's okay, it's okay. Companies send me stuff, and I literally just hey, check this out. And I talk about it, give you the specs on it, and the video's over. It's that simple. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to educate you. And then on I'm also doing videos about some current events, but I really hate this whole regurgitating of the news thing that all these other supposed, I'm holding my quote fingers up, guys, these other preppers that are warning you about stuff that they read in the news or a video they watch, and they're just regurgitating it. And I don't like doing that. I did that for a while. You get the clicks for it, but it has no value in our world. It will not save your family if you're clicking on and spending time with people that just want to talk about how bad the world is, because you can do that any other place. You don't need to look at them. They're just more dramatic and got your attention. So I'm doing much less of that. And I'm focused on like subjects that are going to be, knowledge based. It's clearly not going to be Discovery Channel stuff because that's just boring. But it's going to be some of the things that we like, some deep thoughts about like why we're into preparedness, what we should be thinking about, where we can gather information from, things like that. And that's what I'm doing these days here in 2026. Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes, I think, and Jester's about to pass out. I can see him on my closed circuit television system, black and white. Basically Fallout type camera, looking down at him right now in my basement. He's kicking around. He's all. I gotta go. Let him go. He's just gonna be so mad at me. All right, guys, I want to thank you for hanging out with me. As usual, don't forget, it's doomsdaypodcast@gmail.com. Comments, questions, concerns, go ahead and email that. Myself or Jester will check it out, and we will get back to you. Until the next time, stay safe, have a great day, and I shall see you when I see you. Bye-bye.
This is an emergency action message. At approximately 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, NORAD is tracking 15 ICBM nuclear missiles inbound to the following cities: Orlando, Miami, Pittsburgh, Dover, Newark, Richland, Philadelphia, New York City, Baltimore, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Boston, Seattle, Detroit. This is an extremely deadly situation. Stay tuned. The next emergency message will be a presidential address.